Paymerang is a leading financial automation platform providing accounts payable and invoicing software to a wide variety of companies. They have been named to the Inc. 5,000 list of fastest growing companies numerous times, and were ranked one of the top tech companies in their home city of Richmond, Virginia. With me is the CEO, Nasser, Chanda. Great to have you here at the NASDAQ.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Can you describe Paymerang's core business a little bit? Talk about that and what kind of clients you serve.
Sure. We call it finance automation for the modern enterprise. And this is, a set of software solutions that are geared towards the office of the CFO. And what we believe is the office of the CFO is underinvested in technology. Lots of deadlines, lots of tasks to do to make their organizations more successful, but they don't have all the technology. And recently there have been new software solutions that are tailored to them. So we serve that office of the CFO in our particular verticals, which include education, healthcare, manufacturing, services, hospitality, et cetera. And typically it's mid-market companies across the United States who are serving their customers and wanting to be more competitive, more successful. We come along and provide them automation to automate accounts payable, including the receipt of invoices, the extraction of data from those invoices, the routing for approval, and the posting to the GL, all without touching any paper, using software and workflows.
So,
and then, we also allow them to make those payments electronically to their vendors.
Okay.
And we streamline that entire solution for them.
So you kind of touched on this, and I can imagine, but what are the benefits specifically that a CFO would find with this automation?
Yeah, CFOs are finding that their workload is increasing. They're asked to do more with less. There is a shortage of staff as well nowadays, and they want to get these tasks done, and they want to help their companies be more competitive. So what we do is we provide them a lot more efficiency in doing those tasks, automating things that used to be routine. Now we automate them with the software. It gives their staff a lot more time back, and that staff can then use the time to do things that are more competitive for the organization. Negotiating with suppliers, doing more analysis to assess pricing, to assess competitive reactions to the market, internal analysis on costs, things like that, and really help those organizations. And these are hospitals, these are K-12 schools, these are higher ed institutions, manufacturers. So, we've really chosen a set of industries that we love to do this for. And, I have some interesting stories
I'd love to
how
hear
that has kind of made it real for people. So one of those situations is a K-12 school. And one of the users of our solution used to cut a lot of checks, used to do a lot of manual processes to get invoices approved and post them to the general ledger. When we came along, when they adopted Paymerang, they were able to automate all of that. And she then got promoted into a role that is more meaningful for her while she's using our software to automate the more manual tasks. So now she's an accountant in the organization. She's doing more financial analysis, and that's led to more career growth for her, which is pretty cool. And then there's a hospitality client of ours who implemented us during COVID and has doubled in size since then through acquisitions. And what they said is they could not have grown without the software and the technology we've offered them because of the scale that we've been able to provide them. So she said to us, we would have never doubled in size without Paymerang.
Yeah.
And the final one is a hospital. The controller said that after using us, she's able to be more in the business and helping the hospital be more competitive, which I'll take all day long because I love helping the healthcare industry.
Yeah, well, and it lets people kind of have the big picture rather than kind of doing these mundane things. So, which has been the promise
of automation. It's more job
satisfaction,
happier employees for our clients.
Yeah. Now, you've also played an important role in fraud prevention with some of these clients. Can you explain some of the risks that you see clients take, and how do you help with that?
Sure. It's getting to be a more dangerous world. The fraudsters are getting more sophisticated. They're targeting companies. And I think a good 80% of companies in America have been targeted for some kind of either check fraud or
numerous
ACH.
times a day. When you hear from Chase Bank and things.
Yes, Chase Bank, companies right in middle America. And what these fraudsters are doing is either they are going after their checks, they're intercepting checks, they're washing checks and cashing those checks in, or they're going after ACH or wire payments by redirecting the funds. And they're impersonating the vendors to do that. So whether companies are cutting checks or sending money electronically, they have to be aware that that money could be intercepted. So what we do is we come along and say, from a check perspective, we will process your checks for you using positive pay. And that's a solution that we have that allows us to tell the bank what checks have been written, and only those checks can be cashed. And we do that off of their accounts so that they don't have to even worry about their accounts. Or for ACH transactions where they're sending money electronically, we take the burden away from the companies to enroll those vendors and get their banking information. We do all that for them. So now the company doesn't have to worry about their teams being duped into fraud. We have, lots of training for our folks, and we use lots of technology. We even look at where people are logging in from.
Yeah.
We look at, we verify, who they are before we enroll them in our network. Things like that. It just requires daily training, and the bad guys are getting more and more sophisticated. So we have to keep becoming more sophisticated.
Absolutely. It's just a game of who's outsmarting who on this stuff.
And I don't think the companies have the resources anymore to stay on top of that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how your automation can mitigate those risks, at least for these companies. So what areas of innovation would you say are in financial automation that you're excited about or that you see coming in the next 5 years or so?
What I love is that we have a chance to reimagine the office of the CFO. We have a chance to really say, okay, these were tasks that they've been doing for decades without a lot of technology. And technology has come along with AI, the ability to extract data from documents, the ability to analyze that data, to structure it, and then to analyze it using large data sets, and then to tell them more about how they're spending their money, what the trends are there any risks to the money they're spending, is there any savings they could have based on correlated data from outside of their company. It just takes intelligence to a whole different level, and that provides, competitiveness to these most important industries in America.
Sure.
Healthcare, education, manufacturing. Yeah. We want our clients to be more competitive. We want them to be able to compete on the world stage and grow their businesses and have thriving workforces. And to do that, you've got to use technology. So we're reimagining workflows, how workflows come into organizations, how they execute on those workflows, and then complete their tasks and move on to other things. There's so much coming down the pike right now, and I think it's just a matter of being open to those things. But at the same time, when you're adopting new technologies and new processes, you've got to be smart about those. You've got to do things like, what problem are you solving? And let's focus on that. Let's create some small wins and then get some more momentum under our belt.
Yeah. So Nasser, where do you see the future of the workforce? It feels like it's been disrupted a lot, particularly since COVID. How do you see things from your point of view?
I think it's has been disrupted. I think there are some fundamental truths that hold today and they did 50 years ago. And I think for us, we call it the 3 C's of our employees. They first want to know that they're connected to a company that is inclusive, that's respectful, and that sets them up for success on the things we're asking them to do. Number 2, they want to be connected to their team members and to a mission in the company that they find meaning and purpose in. And you spend a lot of time at work, so community does matter. And the 3rd is they want to be connected to a future at the company. They want to see personal growth, they want to see professional growth, they want to see income opportunities for them. For employers, I think they want to continue to see people who are in an employee workforce that's engaged, that's motivated, that's accountable. And I think those 2 things could actually come together very well under what we try to position as work-life integration. And what we mean by that is for our people, family, health, very important. And we recognize that that's way more important than everything else. But at the same time, they're going to spend a lot of time at work and in their careers. If we can bring those things together in harmony, we have a great experience for our employees. And what that means is we give them flexibility, for life things. For example, when my kids were growing up, I would take an extra time, a couple hours at lunchtime, and go and read a book to my kids at school. My employer was very open to letting me do that. But at the same time, I had to be responsible that I made up that time later. And so at Paymerang, we do like our people who are in Richmond being in the office. But at the same time, we want them to have flexibility. Don't ever miss a life event that's important to you. Don't ever miss a recital at work, at school for your kids. Don't ever miss an appointment. A friend's in town, an old friend. Don't miss that. Just make it up some other time.
Yeah.
And that flexibility, I think people really value that. If you can bring that into place and give them meaning and purpose in their work, that blends the two things together really well.
Yeah, and I think you get the best employees too.
That's
if you
right.
have some flexibility and you have a bigger mission.
Yeah.
So I think that attracts the
And we say
best.
life is short,
Yeah.
so enjoy everything that you do in your day.
Right. We can work and live
Yeah,
and enjoy life.
exactly.
It's not mutually exclusive.
It isn't.
So yeah. All right. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.